Coverage of Championship Week is brought to you by Titan Machinery.
Coach, how's your preparation this year changed, if at all, than from the 2 years prior?
Every year is a little bit different, Jamal, but I would say, it's almost a carbon copy of where we've been. I've been asked many times what the advantages of being in this playoff tournament is, and some of it is familiarity. Certainly every year you tweak things here and there, and every year is a little bit different, but when there's been a blueprint in place that's worked successfully, it gives you a foundation to get started on. So we've done a lot of our practice is very similar, and we're in the final stages of our preparation.
You gonna miss it, the tournament format?
Well, I think the NCAA has done a great job. I had a long visit with Coach Osborne 2 days ago. He's on the selection committee for this FBS deal. I know that anytime you have changes, but I think this playoff format's really been great.
Biggest change from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. What have you obviously everything compared?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a change. I'm glad you bring that up, Dom. We had stretched things out. We did more practices before Christmas. Not so much for preparation, just for timing and tempo. And so we were able to, condense some things. So that made it a little bit different. And it did count, the days that we really had to count. Before, we were able to work around this rumble on the red. And we weren't in position to do that this year. Those days of preparation are really important. So that was different.
Was that weird to be practicing up in Grand Forks in the Alaris Center?
The last time I was up there, I think we got stopped on a 4th down play. But players and coaches, we live in the presence. I mean, what you basically do, you walk out there and you're looking at 100 yards and, get ready to practice. So that's what I thought our players did a nice job with that, and our coaches did as well.
What concerned you the most about Towson?
Well, they're a very physical football team, and in many respects, they're probably more similar to us than anybody that we've played in a long, long time. And they've got a really clear philosophy on what they want to do offensively. They're able to run the football. They've got a great running back and a very capable line. And I know they've played 2 quarterbacks. Both those guys are capable. Defensively, they've got really good speed, team speed. And so you don't make it to this game without being an excellent football team, having really good athletes and well coached. And so we'll need to play our best game to have a chance to win.
In what way are they most like your team?
Well, in a lot of ways, they don't beat themselves. They're still operating in a 2-back offense sometimes, quarterback under center. Downhill runs as opposed to sideways runs. Now, I don't want to, define them as 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's not it at all. But as opposed to the days of the teams that we played with spreads and everything else, they're much more like us than anybody else because of the nature of how they play.
Do you expect Athens to start?
We're going to be prepared for both guys. I do think this, Jeff, when you have a national championship game on the line and everything's out there, your adrenaline gets running as a player. And I know they've got very competitive players, and we do too, and typically those guys are able to find a way on the field.
Craig, what's recruiting been like with you just a week away from Wyoming?
Well, really, pardon me?
What's out there is Wyoming's offered some NDSU offers.
Jeff, as you know, I can't comment on anything with recruiting, so I can't do that. So I don't know if that was it. I just can't.
Has it been conflicted with you, I guess, personally, with Wyoming in the future and NDSU in the present, with recruits out there?
Well, I don't think so. Coach Kleiman have talked, and that really hasn't been the case. Other questions?
How's Ryan Smith doing?
Good. I think he's making a lot of progress, Scotty. A lot faster than what we thought. if he's not at 100%, I'd say he's probably in the 95th percentile right now. So that's close enough that he's going to be ready to go. So we're excited about that.
Are he and Marcus going to return kicks? Do you know?
Well, I don't know about Ryan yet. I want to see that. I think we'll either look at Christian Dudzik back there on punt returns, just to make sure. We've been working with Christian because we didn't know where Ryan would be, and want to make sure we got a guy back there that's done a lot of catching, and that's important for us.
Kick off about Marcus.
We're going to roll guys depending on how the game flows.
Brandon Olson's status, how has he progressed through practice, and what do you expect out of him on Saturday?
Well, he's progressed pretty well, much further than what we all thought. By no means is he 100%. If he has to get out and really cover some ground, his gait's not there. But, plays in between the tackle, he's very serviceable. And with his style of team, there may be a place for him as the game goes along. Right now, I just can't foresee him starting. I think it's more of a deal where we're going to be able to utilize him some. He played 2 plays the last game, which I know after he had gotten injured, he talked to me and said, "You know what? I just want to play one more play, Coach. I want to play one more play." And so he's got 2 in him now. He wants more. So.
Is that your call when he goes onto the field in those schemes, or was it your call last 2 weeks ago?
Well, ultimately it is, but so much of what goes on during the course of the game has already been decided well before. So my role actually during the course of the game, I really try not to micromanage. We look at player roles and we talk about those things fitting into certain schemes and groupings and things of that nature. So that was discussed. I certainly gave the green light, but it's not like, I was like, get him in the game right now. I have done that occasionally on other players, but that was not the case.
Craig, Brock have a chance at the next level?
I certainly think so. It's it's not my expertise, quarterback play, but boy, he's thrown the ball very well. He's improved, and it'd be great to get him in a camp and see what he's done. I know a lot of guys have watched a lot of tape on him, so he's played very well. And this year we're probably playing better than we ever have, and he's also another reason why. When you have your seniors in their last year play their best year of football, that's typically when you have your best teams.
Coach, what do you? I know you're focused on the game and the team. Is it weird to think, though, that in a week you won't be here anymore?
A little bit, but everything you do as a coach, you recognize that to accomplish something really special, you got to really draw back on the things that are really going to count. And to have a memory lane and all those things, you spend your time thinking about memory lane, you're not going to be thinking about Towson, and the memory of Towson won't be very good. And so I really haven't. This is a big ball game. Our players have invested an awful lot. Our coaches have invested an awful lot. Everybody has put different agendas and everything else aside, and we're thinking about the 2013 Bison. These players deserve it, and I certainly have done that.
Do you think it's, I guess from your standpoint, do you think you'll have time to reflect just because, you've got to go, and the college football world never seems to stop. Do you think you'll have time to reflect much?
Oh, probably if I hopefully get to Cabo sometime in late February, that's about the only time.
How have the last few weeks been, Craig? Because it's an unprecedented situation,
Yeah.
I think, to have the one job waiting for
Sure.
you and then still be here. How would you describe it?
Well, first of all, I think I appreciate administrations by both universities, because what both universities did, they're about the student athletes, and much has been talked about that, because when you really think about what's best for these players, it's about our coaching staff staying intact and finishing out the task. And most universities are not going to allow that, and I think it speaks volumes about the University of Wyoming, about how they're going to treat student athletes. And I also think it speaks volumes about our institution here saying, hey, we want to have a chance to win 3. In today's world, the amount of time that I spent out at Wyoming was very limited, and that helps because of some of the resources the school has. And I also knew to really accomplish this task and for our staff, it was going to be doable. And a lot of it had to do, Mike, with the NCAA changing the recruiting calendar, the dead period that is there. I think that also helped. And so I wouldn't say that football coaches are great multitaskers, but I've done enough that you kind of know what things to balance. And I believe our football team's playing well right now. We got one more game.
How's your relationship with the other coaches? Everything okay among the staff?
Good.
Because it's some guys staying, some guys going.
Yeah, that's all part of where we're at. And, everybody's excited about new opportunities. And so I think it's been very good.
I know you had Coach Moore here in April. Is that something you've reinforced, talking what his message was for the team in spring football about what they're on the doorstep of trying to do?
Yeah, I certainly did. I think sometimes with a long period, players are looking and saying, okay, what really counts? And, the number one message that Coach Moore gave to our football team is to really accomplish something special. You've got to be able to, in position to give something up. And I thought he had some great insight in that no other college football player at any level understands what these guys are doing. The playoff format, the level of talent. FBS guys don't go through that. And to have an opportunity to do it 3 times, he had great insight. And, in today's world of PowerPoints and bells and whistles and everything else, when he stood up and talked, I looked him right in the eye, I thought it was a very powerful message, and I certainly appreciate that message. And it's been fun to stay in touch with Coach Moore, and he's dropped some texts here and there and has been following our progress and supportive.
Is he going to be there?
You know what? I don't know. I was going to try to reach out to him. I have not done that, though. I know Dallas, he spent a lot of time in Dallas in between jobs, so maybe he's down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Coach, how does West compare with some of the good ones you've seen from Flanders to Shakir?
That's a great question. I don't, I think he's probably more, obviously, he's 220 pounds. His productivity in a really competitive league speaks for itself. Flanders was make you miss a bunch of times. This guy can make you miss, but he's got great power, and they have very capable offensive line, and so we'll have our hands full. But I think right now we're probably playing as good a defense as what we've played in a long, long time as well, and we're pretty healthy.
Is he the biggest threat?
Well, you'd have to look at that just by productivity, but what makes it such a challenge is if you allocate so many of your resources to stop him, it's not like they're a one-dimensional football team. We can't do that, and so he certainly will stress us.
How do you think Travis Beck's made it through the year with his shoulder problems? Travis Beck.
Well, I think it speaks volumes about his toughness. He's very resilient. He's played well. He's an excellent football player, and I don't know if they come much tougher than him.
Coach, of the 3 teams to make it to Frisco, where do you rank this defense amongst the last 3 teams?
Well, we're probably deeper. Not probably, we are. And, if you just look across the board, I'd say it's probably it is the most talented defense that we've had. There's a lot of speed and athleticism and experience out there. And so several years ago, this was the year that I looked at and said this should be our best football team. And who knows what's going to happen in this game. Up to this point, that we've certainly played our best.
Coach, how important when you were looking and recruiting this senior class was that toughness aspect? Because you have guys like Jeff just mentioned, Travis Beck, Grant Olson playing with an ACL tear in this championship game, Cole Jarrett going through what he's gone through. How important was that?
Well, it's always a difficult thing to identify. You try to glean that and ask a lot of questions to the high school coach and watch a lot of the high school games. A lot of these guys we watched in person. It was a privilege for me to watch a whole bunch of these guys in their high school games, whether it was Billy Turner returning a kickback or Travis Beck playing up in Langdon or Esley. I mean, it's a whole grouping. And to persevere, you've got to have toughness. Certainly physical athleticism is important, but the toughness to be able to hang in there. And that's not only just shown by playing through injury. It's shown by all your habits in the off season when other guys are wanting to not be so emotionally, physically committed. These guys have done it, and they've been a joy to coach.
Has Towson kind of come out of nowhere on the national landscape because they weren't considered a CAA power until the last 2 years, really?
Well, I think, their track may be similar to where we were at. If you would ask people several years ago about NDSU as a national power, I don't think that our name would have come up. I know their location puts them in a prime location, Dom, for recruiting. I mean, they are in an ideal spot for recruiting. And they've got good players, and I know they've gone up and down a little bit, but, we've watched some crossover tape from them through the years, and you look and go, that's a good football team and good players. And what you find, though, to get to the final two, typically the stars have to align right. Did we think we'd be playing Towson? Certainly thought that we could, and here we are. No other questions. Thanks a lot.